Morning, and welcome back to the Expedition Forge. You're in for some truly golden content today. I have my 404 Daimler-Benz Unimog, and we're going to take it to the dump. They have some scales there. We're going to weigh it. We're going to come back and go through all of the drawers and lock boxes in this thing. I haven't been through a single one. This is a genuine German military vehicle, so I expect all of the military history and artifacts to still be intact in the back. You'll see those locks are not cut, so I have not been through them. We'll go through it together. Most importantly, I know what direction we're going with the Unimog as far as the engine, what we're going to do with this box on the back, all that stuff. I know how the Unimog is going to end up in the end, and by the end of this video, you will too. So first things first, let's throw a bunch of crap in the back and go to the dump. Okay. Yep. So I've gotten a lot better at driving this thing since last time, so. To the dump. Such a cool vehicle. My mirror is not useful on that side. This is definitely the slowest vehicle ever. I used to debate it, but now it's definitely this one. Jeez. Let's see what she weighs.
Ooh, it's in your cameras. Oh, it's doing that thing.
8,300.
It's doing that thing where you can still kind of tell what the weight is, but
Okay.
Let's take a picture. 8,200.
This is not on the gas, okay? That is stupid slow. This is steep though. Straight down off the gas. This is how fast it goes. That's awesome. Well, it does. We definitely don't need four-wheel drive, but cable actuator lockers. All right, we're back. That was a quick trip to the local dump, the local landfill. They have a scale out there. 8,200 pounds with us in it. So looking at just shy of 8,000 pounds. My wife's tiny, she barely counts. So about 8,000 pounds. pretty heavy vehicle. 8,000 was actually my guess on the nose. So I knew that this box in the back is pretty heavy, made of steel in most places, still filled with all the old German military stuff. So 8,000 pounds, there's the first fun fact. Now let's look around. Let's go in some of these drawers and chests and lock boxes and see what's hiding in this Unimog. And then I wanna go through every little weird quirk that I can find in this thing, because as I even just move things around, I notice new things and they're very interesting. I'd like to show you some of them. Keeping in mind that even if you know a lot about Unimogs, these features aren't necessarily things that Daimler-Benz put in. This is German military stuff. So there are a bunch of little features that have to do with these desks and drawers and all those things. Let's look through them, and then we'll go over the plan for the Unimog long term. I want to assure you, I have only pulled out one drawer in this whole vehicle, and it's over there. We'll get to that. But I haven't looked in anything on this whole side of the Unimog. So here is a chest with, by the way, I'm not gonna know what any of this is, but if you do, let me know. This appears to be, ooh, it moves. Oh, it's on a drawer. It's on like a sliding drawer. Whoa. It has these louvers. Seems like it's, these louvers make me think it's something that needs air. There are cords on the back? There are cords on the back. This is some sort of machinery, electrical connectors on the back. I wonder what's in here. Let's grab the screwdriver and pop this off. This thing seems like it hinges upward. Oh, it does, I'm right. Oh, there's a square little, almost like you stick a ratchet in here. Let's try that. This is what it almost looks like. Like you stick an extension in here. I don't even know if 1960s German drives are the same as ours. Looks roughly 3/8, but doesn't fit. Well, anyway, I'll come back and work on this one day. But for now, let's carry on. Okay, now for the inside proper. This drawer is the only one that I have opened so far in the Mog. So this is what inspired me to actually make this video in the first place. Again, guys, I was not in the German military in the 60s, so let me know what I'm looking at. I never saw this. 244483. A replacement bulb kit. Look at that. Replacement bulb kit for presumably the things in here. They look like they're all specific to something. And anybody who reads German, I see the word halogen, but some other things in there. So bulbs still intact. You can see in there, still good bulbs. I don't know if they would work if you plugged them in, but they sure look good to me. All these different sizes too. Where'd these go? Anyway, this thing that I took out is actually why I made this video. I never knew that there was this in here. I never even reached that far back in the drawer, so I haven't even explored one full drawer before this video. But this is some sort of mobile telephone situation. So I forget how to even I haven't looked at it in a long time. Oof. Something like that. Ooh. Look at that. I don't know exactly what this little box is, but it has a telephone with it. So, I mean, logically, one would think this is some sort of mobile telephone, I guess. Oh, very, very interesting. This has a phone icon, and then I don't know what that's supposed to be, but if those lines connected, if those two triangles connected, I'd be tempted to think that was some sort of mail. I mean, I would imagine it's not, but sure is interesting. Different channels, I guess. I don't know what any of this says. I don't know what funk means in German, but if you know what the deal with this thing is, let me know, because this is fascinating. Some sort of mobile phone. So cool. This is, like I said, the only thing that I've actually found in this back box area so far through all of my nosy travels. Here's some sort of strap for it. I don't know if this even goes to this. Maybe it's a shoulder strap of sorts. Maybe somebody could carry this with them. Everything in here also says 240 volts on it. Now that I'm looking at this, this says a German word, and then it says December 1972. December 1972. December 1972. Well, this thing then, unless that's some sort of throw this thing away at this point, 1972 is much newer than a lot of the stuff in here. I'm gonna go ahead and throw this back because I love this thing. It's very cool. Oops. Didn't know that was in there either. Some sort of little pigtail, and it fits right in here with the ask plug. I don't know. Hey, here's another thing. I've held this before and didn't even notice. This has a button, surely a push to talk situation on here. Really cool. The rest in here just an empty, pretty standard wooden drawer. But one thing about the drawers, first of all, they have these locking plates over on the side, and they have these tags on every drawer. So obviously I can't read any of it, but this is very, like, I used to fill out tags like this in the military all the time. This is a very government tag. Oh, this drawer is a little stiff. Yikes. Oh, that's because I'm dumb. I'm figuring out a lot of stuff right in front of you guys. So this little locking plate I never noticed. You can't just pull it open. You got to push it up and then pull it open because of that little notch right there. So once you do that, I thought it was just sticky and not well made, but they thought of everything. That is so cool. I'm almost equally fascinated by the replacement bulb kit. I guess it's fascinating because it's like a consumable. You don't expect to see like a little box of good bulbs in here. And then it makes you wonder too, what all these little, like, number designations, is this a part number? Is this, you know, so cool. All right, in you go. We just checked out drawer number 1. Drawer number 2 has a padlock on it. And not only is it intact, but I started looking and I thought, I don't even see a keyhole. That's because the keyhole is behind this thing, this little spring-loaded door device. It's right in there. So I obviously don't have that key. Oh boy, do I chop this? I guess while it is a piece of history, it's also not doing me much good being locked. I do want to see what's in there. Maybe I'll shine a light in there and see if anything's in there, and then if there is, we'll chop the lock. If not, we'll just shine it in there and see that it's empty, and we'll leave this lock alone. You know what? I don't think there's anything in here. Yeah. Drawer is empty. Oop, it's closed in. Yeah, it's empty. I can see the bottom all the way back. Well, you lucky little lock. Okay, we'll leave that alone. That drawer is empty. Sorry to disappoint you. There's so many quirks that I keep seeing while I'm going through here, but for now we're just doing drawers, boxes, things like that, seeing what hidden stuff is in here, and then we'll go back and we'll look at all the quirks in this thing, of which there are thousands. So, on to the next drawer. All right, I'd call this a drawer, a storage area at the very least. The last owner left me with some diesel oil. What's this? It's a plug. I don't know if there's really, unless you guys know, I don't know if there's any telling what exactly this is. I have no idea. Realizing that I'm not very helpful in this video. So these are tail lights and turn signals and reflectors and whatnot. That checks out. There's more of them right there. There's a license plate mount. Aha. So some sort of strap. Very military. No telling what they use that for. There's a lot of generic straps in the military, so that could be for a lot of different things. Yep. These look like they may be for some sort of like railing inside here, I think. Also a chock back there, very cool. I have one of those chocks. There's the second one. And there is a base for something. Are you learning a lot? And here's this thing. What does that say? Somebody who speaks German? I could Google Translate it, but this way you'll interact with my channel. So very grimy at the bottom of that. I don't know what that is, but whatever this is. And, well, I realize that it may be difficult to believe that I haven't looked through this stuff, but I swear I've not. Some rubber tubing of some kind. Telefunken. That's the brand of the mobile telephone thing that we saw earlier. Interesting. Some sort of antenna. Look, there's a little ball on the end. So that screws in. A sort of antenna. Sweet. More cool German radio stuff. Strap that seems to be holding something. Oh, there are hooks in here. It's just meant to secure some of this down. That's cool. This is mechanical. So that's where the carburetor set, I bet. Looks like a plate where a carburetor sit, I think. I think this is something that one of the previous owners, yeah, this is the instructions for the propane conversion. So those are all parts for propane stuff. Not interesting to me. All right. Whoa. What are we looking at here? So, some sort of rag, hardware, steel ribbon sort of thing, a lot of cotter pins, so hardware for something. Wowee. Whoa. I don't know what I'm looking at. Wow. I genuinely don't know what this is, but here is this? A little bit in here. Some very tiny part. Oh, little springs. Those look like valve stems to me. Cool. Those look like some alien version of valve stems. Ah. Oh, geez. Old crumbly gaskets. Very good. All right. Looks like somebody has repurposed this whole thing. There's more seals in there. And just padding in the bottom. Here are some tubes that look slimy but don't have anything on them, don't smell like anything. This one looks extremely dirty, and also I don't know what this used to have in it, but now it has a bunch of hardware and parts that I don't think were, I don't know. So going through this at first, I thought, well, this has been repurposed by somebody. I figured this would be some sort of radio stuff, but these are consumables. I just used Google to translate some of this stuff. There's like waterproof spark plugs on here. There's all sorts of like automotive hose and things like that. This was an automotive repair kit full of consumables. Cool. So this stuff is probably actually factory. There's seals and gaskets and hose and hardware and things like that. Super cool. That is awesome. So this is actually one thing that made it fairly intact. It hasn't been repurposed. This was something the German military actually used. I've never even taken a peek in this area before, but this consumable box is awesome. I'm so glad that I Google translated that. I thought that maybe the last owner just took this container and filled it with spare parts, but no, that's actually the German military that did that. All right, moving one floor down here, we have a lot of stuff. There's an empty plastic package. Don't care to keep that in here. What is that? Some sort of ribbon? Some sort of marking ribbon situation. What's this? Signer Stift. Oh, it's like a crayon. For marking things, I'm guessing. Yeah. Wow. I wish I wouldn't have broken it, but still. Military crayons, how cool. These appear to be like ribbons for marking things. I don't know exactly. What would you use these for, guys? So plastic ribbons, they look like it's just a roll as wide as the sheet. And then we have a bunch of small ribbons here. Plastic ribbons. Gerlingen, Stuttgart. Very, very cool. Also have a shoulder strap option, it looks like, or side strap or something. That's cool. Moving on. Oh, I just noticed this. There's a little tiny cubby right here. That's awesome. This box is what those ribbons came in. I'll put that back in there. Oh, I wonder what this is for. I hope they didn't pee in this. What do you think that's for, fellas? I don't know what that's for, but definitely an original thing. Here is a belt for the chair that I'm sitting in, I bet, because this one does, oh, nope, just kidding. This one does have a seat belt. This is some sort of spare for one of the seats, I don't know, but this is a seat belt buckle. Cool. Just like the old days. I I like to not flip too quickly through all of the little paper tidbits in here, because some of them are really interesting. So, Achtung, I've learned that means warning. I have that warning in my Land Cruiser as well. I'm not even going to pretend like I can read that, but it is interesting. There's a little piece of paper, a little slip of history. I'm going to keep that right there. And we have some general trash. This is a leather strap from one of the window pull-down straps. It's useless. It's all sun-dried. That's very interesting. This is some sort of shaded goggles. Huh. So it shades the top of the eyes, I guess, and then you can still look down at what you're doing. Wonder why they would need that. All right, final level for this drawer. That appears to be a toe strap. The world's shortest toe strap. Holy moly. Okay. We have an intake for some area of the vehicle. I wonder why. I might take that outside and see where that goes. Maybe that comes off with the propane conversion. Holy moly. We have a giant bundle of chains. Did not know that. Wow. That may be difficult to get out. Some tubing or something. Oh, what's that? Whoa, this is the air filter housing. I know exactly where that goes. Huh. That probably has to do with that. You know what I'm just realizing? Does that mean I don't have an air filter? Not that I really care on this M180 engine, but I would like to keep on using this thing if possible. There's an oily wasp nest in this air filter. Wow. Can you see this right here? That is a wasp nest, and it is soaked in oil. Actually, this whole thing is leaking oil all over the floor now. I didn't know that would happen. I'm gonna throw this outside real quick, but there was a wasp nest, remember that. Okay, cleaned up that disaster. Anyway, here's the lid of that. That is, it's a bunch of dead bugs all wadded up in there. Everything you're looking at, that's a huge pile of bugs. Awesome. That's probably 100 pounds of chains. So just imagine a giant block of chains, some air hoses and air filter housing that's full of oil and dead bugs. So that's the bottom level. How exciting. Well, as far as drawers in the desk, that's it. But check out what I just found when I put this down. There's another one of these little containers that I don't know what you call it. I'm not even sure what it's for, but extra little storage up here in the ceiling. This little frame thing looks like it has sliders, and at one time it had more boxes in it. That's empty. Finally, on the inside, we walked right past this one. I know this is right in front of my face, but I've never opened it. Appears to be spare hardware. So just a bunch of little sections. It's actually mounted to the top of this chest with the big electrical thing that we couldn't figure out what it is. It's actually mounted to the top of that. It's just spare carriage bolts and those sort of locking devices that it uses on all the doors. So, spare hardware. Let's check out the ones on the outside. Maybe we'll cut a lock or two. Sorry, before we hop all the way out, this box has just been sitting ever since I bought it. It's just been sitting on top of this desk. Here's the door for it. Obviously nothing in it. I'm not sure where it used to mount. It'd be interesting to try to figure out. All right, we are in the back left corner of the MOG. Here, oh, I wasn't ready to do that yet. I have not opened this, and apparently I'm allowed to. Empty. But this storage area is really big. If we end up keeping this box, that'd be a cool place to store some stuff. Make it look locked at least. All right, I don't actually know what's in this one, but I can make an educated guess. I'm gonna say that the battery is in this one. I could take that off, but I'm very sure. Also, if I follow the cables, wherever they may be. Yep, there's a breather. There are the cables. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't wanna open that one. I see the cables coming out of the other side of this box. The battery is definitely in this box. This right here, these two are the part that make everybody say, wow, that Unimog's rusty. I haven't opened these, but whoa. Aha, I think I just figured something out. Remember inside the MOG, whenever we found that cable that has the wiring that needs to be wired on the other end? Well, I think that may attach right here, maybe? Maybe not. That plug doesn't look the same. Anyway, Adolf White. Be careful with that name. Here's a power off switch, it looks like. That's the symbol for... Oh, look, there's two more plugs. I wonder what that has to do with that. We'll never know. This is incredibly rusty. This is by far the rustiest part of the back shell. Poor baby. Just under that, hey, you know what? This face looks exactly the same as the thing we were trying to figure out in the back of the MOG. Yeah, and look at that, it's on a slider. Or it has the ability to be on a slider. There are rollers in here. So whatever that thing is in that box goes in this door. Also, there are a bunch of warnings in here, and look at this rust. That is incredible. That looks like a sandbox. Holy cow. I'm hoping that there's something interesting in one of these. This one's open too. Oh, weird. It's locked, but it's like seized. Oh, never mind, I got it. So, this back box has nothing in it. Still, I am intrigued by the storage possibilities with this type of box. It's very cool. And if I integrated that into an overlander, save some of the cool history, the cool Unimog design history. Awesome. To the next one. Okay, ooh, that's a newer lock about this door. This has two sort of wooden rails, angled wooden sort of rails in there. I wonder what that's about. This lock is too new and it's teasing me. I'm gonna cut this lock off and we're gonna see what's in this thing. It's gonna be some system that's being used, I bet. That's a newer lock than the age of this vehicle. I'm thinking some person that owned it as a civilian put that on. Oh, cool. Oh, robbery. There's nothing in here? At least the way it locks is cool. Well, sorry. The outside containers weren't as interesting as I was hoping. But now, let's go through some of the quirks on this thing. It is a very weird vehicle, given that it's not all made by Daimler. This is a military machine. Some of the things in here are super interesting, and they really speak to the military history aspect of this thing. So let's take a look around. A lot of these quirks are going to be genius things that Daimler and the military thought about. Like these steps. brilliant. These steps slide right out like that. This pin locks them back into place. All you do is twist it and the pin moves out as you twist it because of the taper of the container that the pin is in. These steps are on both sides of the rear of the vehicle. You have a handle right here and you have a handle on the opposite side too. It's an easy step right up into the Unimog. So getting up and in, even though it is a very high vehicle, it's very easy. Even if you're a short person, they give you 2 steps to get in and a big handrail. It's the same story on the right side of the vehicle. You also have a step, but it's not the pull-out style. It's the same sort of twisting the pin action, but then that unlocks it and lets the step pivot downward. Now you have the same 2-step situation. Your handrail is right here, your little grab handle, and then 2 steps up and into the Unimog. Very easy to access, even though it's very high off the ground. And remember, this is the side door. It's only on the right side. There is no door on the left side. But access, very easy in the Unimog. Continuing on the outside of the Unimog, this is the rear right side door. You can see all these little hook locations with these straps. If you've ever seen molly panels, like overlanders often use molly panels to hook a bunch of different accessories onto things, my thinking is that's what these were. So you have all these hooks and straps, you can secure things to this back door. I don't know for sure what they had sort of planned for this back door, but these hooks to me look like somewhere where you can secure things given these straps. Now mine don't have any metal hardware on the end, so I don't have hooks or anything where I can actually use mine because mine are just so old and decrepit. All the hooks are gone, all the hardware is gone, so these aren't useful on mine, but once upon a time, I'm guessing this was a way to secure things to the back door. This is the rear left door. It says 4RC on it. I have Googled, I've tried to figure out what 4RC stands for. I'm guessing it's the delineation, some sort of squadron or battalion, 4th radio command, something like that. At least that's how it works in American military. I don't know what this would have stood for in the German military, but I really wanted to know what unit this vehicle served with. I can't figure it out. If anybody's able to be an internet sleuth and figure this out, 4RC, it's a true German 1963 Daimler-Benz radio truck. So if you can figure that out, that would be an amazing piece of history to ease my mind. These are some sort of accessory securing point. There's actually a couple of these on the inside that are smaller. They have a sort of accessory tool that I'll show you in a little bit, but something would have been secured right here between these two. And that's really all there is for the back door. There are hooks right here, but all these things, I'm not really sure what they're for. These don't function, whatever they do. And these hooks, I don't know what they did either. Still on the outside of the vehicle, we have a tow hitch. So a sort of pivoting tow hitch at that. This is not your standard tow hitch. This is it looks to me like kind of a precursor to what I've always known as a NATO hitch. The NATO hitch is a half circle with another half circle that pivots. So you got these sort of semicircle metal pieces that clamp together like this, and they hold what is usually, so if you have it like this, you would have another trailer with another hitch on it that would be shaped like a donut, and it would slip right over, and your NATO hitch would close onto that. And so they're hooked more like this than your sort of tow ball setup. I'm guessing that's similar to how this operates. So you pull this handle and this does release. It allows you to pull this down, and I suppose you could tow with your Unimog if you were so inclined. I don't think I'll ever do that, but there is a tow hitch setup. I'm guessing also that this is for a light plug. Yeah, that's a trailer plug right there. I've never opened that up before, but that is a trailer plug. The back rear right door, we have a roll-up curtain to expose your sliding rear window, which I've never opened before. And we have this little rack of these metal sheets with slats in them. I'm guessing that the metal slats are for airflow, just so your guys don't die of still air and heat exhaustion, but I think that these go over the windows. I'm pretty sure this is to darken everything. It absolutely is. Wow. I'm just figuring this out. Again, I'm sorry for my surprise, but if you look at these little tabs on the edges, we'll take one out. So they secure like this. This hook lets go. I've never done this before. But if you have one of these sheets, look at this. It absolutely does go over the window. It has a seal around the outside. You have these tabs, and then you have these hooks. Check this out. Let's put them on a window. They actually mount on the outside of the vehicle. I just tried to put this on a window, and it didn't want to work because everything's kind of warped and seized by rust at this point. But you can imagine that right there. It hooks in those hooks at the top, it secures around these, and then you spin these to cover that. I could probably make it work if I messed with it for long enough, but you get the idea. These would cover up the windows, allow some airflow through these slats, but really give you some metal, some protection over the windows. Looking at the doors a little bit more, you may have noticed I use these metal hooks that hook right into these holes in the back door frame. So this holds the door from flying back further or from closing on you. It's a nice way to secure the door. You step right up and you're in. Once you are in, you'll notice a few conveniences. So we obviously have shown before, we have the roll-up curtains on the windows. So these little shades roll down from a spool. I can't believe they work as well as they do. You have the option to adjust how much. With these holes in this leather strap, you can adjust how much of the shade you want. I've been leaving it all the way down just to sort of protect everything from the sort of UV evil of the sun. Right here you see what appear to be coat racks. There's one on the other side as well. You can hang your blouse or hat or something, step right up in the Unimog and hang your military garb on the coat rack. An interesting note about the floor. This floor is made of wood, but you can see right there, that looks pretty odd, doesn't it? That's one of the rear wheel arches. So you can just see the wheel arch there. The other one is underneath all of the stuff that we looked at in here, all the turn signals and brackets and stuff. There's a wheel arch under there and one right there. They actually tapered that drawer. They sort of shaved the bottom of that wooden chest area right there so that the equipment would sit along that that wheel arch. The quirks in this back area are truly, I mean, pretty much endless. They really go on forever. Taking a look at this desk in the rear, I noticed that one person was sort of stationed right here. There's room for someone to sit with their legs underneath this part of the table, and there's another chair that was permanently stationed back on that end of the desk. This desk has these sort of channels in it. I'm not sure what would have gone right here, but it's definitely something that would be hooked in and slid down. So maybe some sort of radio station would have actually hooked into these rails and slid down. But there's no doubt about it. This is a channel that's supposed to hold something that's able to slide down the table. Speaking of the chairs, you can see the sort of bracketry right here behind the chair that actually affixes this chair to the floor. So this chair was meant to be sat in as the vehicle went along the road. You can also see that they did have little storage pockets. There's a little sort of burlap pocket underneath this chair. You can see that the chair also was equipped with a little seat belt, as is the chair that I'm sitting in. And this person would have been stationed probably right here, able to swivel and use this desk as well. This appears, I mean, all signs point to this being a sort of two-man operation. One guy at that end of the desk and one here able to use this desk and this desk at the same time. This, my seat does have a seat belt, and it's actually a little bit different than the other style. This is more of one that's more like a belt, where it cinches you in place, whereas some of the other buckles in this interior are actually more like an old GM buckle or an old truck buckle, this style that unclips once you lift it up. Taking a look at some of the more brilliant use of space in this thing, because there is so much. This desk is actually pretty similar to the other one on this side, and by that I mean it has channels where you slide things across, much like that one. So I'm thinking that you can affix some sort of equipment so you could slide it to where you want it and then secure it sort of easily. I'm sure they thought about that. But this one also is even more brilliant than that, because this side you can fold down like this. So it is a little wobbly. It is, after all, 60 years old at this point, but this maximizes the space. You can see if I was stationed at this table, I have whatever equipment is stationed here, and it can slide along this area, and then you have it on this area as well. I'm all just spitballing this, but this looks like these are where the signs are pointing. I think that this person was able to move around the equipment that was on their table here and on this side, and they could maximize their space by folding this desk over like that. We're kind of bouncing all over the interior of this box, but this is one of those accessory securing stations that I told you about earlier on the outside. There's one on the back left door, and I'm not sure what it does, but this one happens to secure this piece of equipment, which looks like some sort of drill, perhaps to drill into the ground, sort of gives you the ability to drill a post into the ground, it looks like. You can see the threads there that this would affix to some sort of powered equipment. Now, I cannot stand how much some local dogs are barking. I'm not sure where they are, but I'll take this opportunity to close this door with the pull handle that we have here. And you can see elsewhere on this door we have, let's shed some light. We have the handle that opens the door, and we have a lock, a sliding little interior lock right there. All this stuff, one thing I notice about it is stereotypically German. It's very well made. Great clicks and securing noises and locking noises. Very, very close tolerances on all these things, and they work mechanically very well. As you can see, all the way through the interior, tons of warnings and German placards just telling you how to operate things and what not to do. Now, obviously, I can't read German, but this is clearly a big circuit breaker station where you monitor voltage and amperage. And I'm not sure what any of this stuff does, but lots of switches, lots of circuit breakers, lots of places to plug things in as well. So very interesting. This obviously seems like the center sort of brain of the whole operation as far as the radio truck part is concerned. Very interesting. This is definitely like the most eye-catching thing when you open the back. You notice this right away. Time for me to make a few more uneducated stabs at whatever this is. This is clearly some sort of air ram situation. On the outside of the box, up here at the top on the Unimog, if you look from the outside, there's a circular opening. And I think that that is designed to let air flow through and come down through here and release through this vent on the floor. I'm guessing that is so that the fellas cannot die of heat stroke while they're in the back doing their radio thing. So this is sort of a makeshift airflow AC situation is what it looks like to me. If you guys know any better than that, let me know. But just putting two and two together, this looks like air is flowing through as the Unimog is driving down the road or the trail or whatever they're trying to get through. The fellas have some airflow in here. Now, I've never been in the back while the Unimog's moving, but seems logical. Another thing, up here, there is a thing that I just noticed. I literally noticed it while I was talking. This is some sort of document holder. So this is another thing that, to me, being former military, is kind of familiar. While you're doing your job, I'm sure that the guys had a sort of cheat sheet in front of them. And that is a perfect place to display such a cheat sheet. So while this guy is here doing his job, he's able to look up there and reference whatever channel or voltage or whatever radio people do. He could reference it right there. And you can see it's secured from a little ball joint on the ceiling. Very clever. Speaking of this thing having airflow, this is really odd looking to me. This is sort of another leathery burlap bag. But I see sunlight. It looks like there's some effort to make some airflow come through this sort of bag thing. So this is actually another hole in the actual wall. And I guess if it was cold, they could cinch it up. And if they needed some airflow, they could let it out like this. To drive home my point about me hopefully being right about a lot of this wall being involved in like the air circulation process, I noticed these words over here, Umluft and Frischluft. And it looks like it means circulating air and fresh air. So a lot like your car. Outside air and then circulate the air inside. I don't see There's obviously a hole right here. I think there may have been something that would have allowed them to choose, but whatever that is now is no more. But that obviously is something to do with the airflow in here, and they would have been able to choose which one they wanted based on what position whatever lever was in. A couple things to note with the ceiling. Oh, look, another one. A couple things to note with the ceiling. So we have lights over each of our two operators, one here, one there. And something else I've just found, if you can see this, we have another one of those cheat sheet document holders right here, and it sort of flips around and can be stored right here above this rail that they have going across. There's a rail that goes all the way around as a U shape around the whole vehicle, and it appears to be sort of hiding all of the wiring in here. So big bundles of wire follow this thing all the way down and make their exit wherever they need to go for any electronics. You know what? I said all that to you about being a quick egress, and then I realized I don't think the point of this is to egress. I bet you can remove this if need be. There are a lot of bolts going on. I bet you could release it if you need to. But I'm finding a lot of evidence that this was a two-man crew because everything is sort of set up one per station, and there's two of everything. And by that I mean, if I were sitting in this seat, I would be sitting just about, I mean, I would bump the camera right now, but if I were sitting right here, this is the perfect place to reach up and secure yourself if the Unimog is going off-road, is tipping, anything like that. And guess what? This fella right here has one above his head too. So that's very interesting. This gives you a sort of solid thing to grab above your head. There's no other sort of rail or discernible way to secure yourself except for reaching right above your head. A normal-sized human can reach up and easily reach this, and it's very solid. So I think that this was a way to let the boys hold on if anything was getting rough outside. So you can see here the propane conversion. The propane tank sits here just on the bottom. We have more of those slider rails. I'm not sure what would have been used there, but more of those sliding rails that you can actually affix something, move it to where you want, secure it to that spot again. So very cool. I think that these, maybe that would have been on there. Those do have the feet. They could have slid. You could have slid your drawer wherever you wanted it underneath. You know, I was in the military, and sometimes I kind of roll my eyes when people make remarks about how they kind of go overboard with the military-ness of things when they talk about military stuff. Well, I hate to sound like them, but I do wonder if these were places to secure rifles. It's roughly the correct size. There's two of them. Remember, we're probably dealing with a two-man crew. Little space there for a gun butt. And it's also sitting away a little bit. Just the ergonomics of a gun would really fit. A butt sitting right there, slightly backed out this way from the wall. I can imagine a rifle sitting comfortably right there, and really two of them so that it didn't fall over while you're driving. Another interesting thing, very period correct for pretty much any part of the world. In the 1960s, ashtrays absolutely everywhere in the back of this thing. We opened this up when I first got the vehicle. I'm wondering if these are really old German cigarettes. I recall us looking for a brand. We didn't find a brand on them. But ashtrays, one right there where that fellow would have sat. And then we have one over here, under here. So each workstation had their own ashtray. And then for some reason, this little storage area did too. Now this is the rear pair of doors here. I was about to leave out of this door, and then I realized I should show you the back mechanisms here. So just like the side door, we have a sliding lock. It locks anybody opening from the outside. Our handle, of course, where we can just pop this open. This is the one, I know this is crazy. I've never even played with this before. I've never even thought about what this does. But check it out. This locks this door to this door. But this is a double door, so if you lock it to this one and this one's not locked, it doesn't do you any good. It's going to fly right open. Well, this locks this door with that bar right there. The interior rear door is now locked, and then you lock this door to that door. How cool is that? That's another thing I didn't know until I started showing you guys around. Guys, I know we explored a lot. It is endlessly quirky. It's endlessly interesting. So much military history, so much automotive history. I'm sure that I haven't even touched on half of the quirks in this rear section, but for now, let's go back outside. This is all the things that I can think of so far. As I explore this on my own, I'll be sure to keep you guys updated with any new quirks that I find. But for now, let's go outside. I have a few more quirks outside and up front. So we'll go ahead and crawl outside. So open sesame, and then there's a more proper way to do that, but that is pretty much how you do it. Now we can secure that door open like that and start looking around on the outside. We will check out the top. So you can see they have sort of a cage over those openings that I said were egress, could be egress windows. I guess they can't because those cages are right over top. We do have one of these screw caps on every corner. I think that probably has to do with airflow, but I really don't know. I'd like to see if you guys know anything about it. This is a hatch where you can have your passenger personnel poke their head out of the top. And I will show you, I have a clear dome bubble for this that you can install so you can look out but still be inside the vehicle. Forgive me, I don't want to go through the trouble of putting this on for the video, but this is the dome that I was talking about. Is very, very interesting. I'm told that this is actually worth a good bit of money on its own. I've never even looked into it, but I do have the genuine original plexiglass dome for this thing that goes over the interior. I will never use it, but I do think, again, it is another example of great military history and something that I'm going to hang on to. It's absolutely not going to go in the dumpster. I don't know, I've considered even like selling it to somebody who will appreciate the Unimog history part of it a little bit more than I do. But yeah, here it is, the actual thing. These are actually a little bit on the rare side from what I understand. The plexiglass interior dome. If you remember from the first video, this is a step. So this helps you enter the vehicle. You open the door, you put your boot right there, and that is how you get up into the vehicle, your grab handle, and you get right up in. So that helps you, again, getting into a very tall vehicle. Look at this. Guys, I swear. Oh, it's a hatchet. And it's got like a hammer claw on it. Wow. That's cool. I've never ridden in the passenger seat before. Oh, it's really loose. But still, how cool is that? Actually, it feels kind of sharp. I don't want to test it, but how cool. A little hammer claw hatchet. Under the passenger seat too. Very, very cool. I've shown you most of the interior driver things of this vehicle, but I'd like to point out a couple of quirks that I have found since the last video. The passenger floorboard. If you look, I'm not going to do any trickery here. If you look at the level of the seat, see that's the highest point of the seat, and that's about where your butt will be. It's even with the floorboard. If you look right there, you have no dip down into a footwell, none. Your feet go straight out to right there. That is your floorboard. Your floorboard is basically vertical, or you can bend your knees sharply and put your feet here. There is no dish to put your feet down on the passenger side. So in the interior underneath the windshield's split down the center here, but this thing, I didn't know what this was until today. My wife crawled in and asked me if this was a canteen. She was in the military as well and thought this looked like a US spec canteen. But these are actually the housing for the window wiper motors. So the windshield wiper motor is inside this on both sides. These weird little canteens sticking out in the interior. Looking up, we have the circle, and that's where our clear dome can go on. The dome offers you the ability to poke your head out without actually putting it into a true open space. You can keep your head inside the dome and see what's out there. Or you can pop this top off, and then you have an open ceiling. You can see we're opening it up right there. So a little troop portal in the top right here. Your passenger can poke their head out and shoot a gun or whatever they want to do. Taking a look at the face of the Unimog, I don't know what this is, but it has a 0 and a 5. I'm always interested in specific number designations on things like this because it tells you something about the history. If you can manage to figure it out, you have some hint at the history of this thing. 05. I don't know what it means, but it's a hint, and I'm interested in what that could mean. The 4RC on the back door, what does that mean? I don't know what this thing is. If you guys know, let me know. That's interesting. Maybe that's some sort of spotlight. I don't know. Or maybe some sort of attachment for an antenna. Who knows? We have something that I love on vehicles. We have the cage around the headlights. Now, obviously, this thing got smacked in the face pretty hard, but I can definitely repair that. And I love a cage around the headlights. Really protect what you can. And that is a cool feature to really keep this thing going. So you can keep your lights on. Something a military vehicle needs to be able to do is operate in the dark. So keeping those headlights functional is very important. We have the steel bumper, and this thing is thick. I don't know how thick this metal is. Looks like it might be a quarter. It might be a little more than a quarter. It is super sturdy. And we have an attachment here. I don't see a place for an actual winch, but just a sort of giant kingpin going through there would definitely offer some stable pulling point to recover another vehicle or get recovered itself. One thing I do like about the Germans is they are always on top of the idea of maintaining a vehicle, and they put these little Zerk fittings on absolutely everything. Every hinge on this vehicle has a grease point, and that is just a brilliant idea to me. Taking a look on the inside again, you've seen all the driver stuff. If you haven't, be sure to check out my Unimog intro video. It's very interesting. I love this thing so very much. And now you're looking at the reason I wanted to buy this Unimog. Of course, because it is a Unimog, of course. But take a look. There is not a spot of rust on this thing underneath. It's all the box. It's all the cab. None of it is on anything that matters. The frame looks great. The exhaust, of course, is a little crusty, but you know what? I'm about to let you guys know what engine we're going with, and this exhaust is going bye-bye anyway. I may weld up my own stainless exhaust for the engine that's coming. As far as the axles, the frame, everything looks to be in such good condition. No rust on it. I really am excited about this thing. This is one of the physically healthier vehicles that I even have, and I can't wait to explore the full potential of this thing. Well, there you go. Now you know a little bit more about my 404 Unimog. Now there's still a lot of things we got to talk about. And the part you're probably waiting for, where are we going from here with this Unimog? Well, a lot of factors to consider. There's what engine are we going with? And I'm happy to announce that I have decided on what engine we're going with. I threw this out on a lot of different social media platforms. I threw out the idea of 6BT Cummins, the 5.9 Cummins. I love that thing. The 4BT Cummins may be a little better for the weight on this thing, a little lighter, plenty of power. I pitched the OM617 Mercedes diesel, 5-cylinder diesel that I have in my 300D. Very low on power, but indestructible, completely invincible engine. And the answer that I'm going with, the engine I'm picking, is actually the one that I probably got the most suggestions for in my comments. And I made this decision before I ever started getting the suggestion for it, but I'm glad to know that great minds think alike. So bravo to my comments. I'm going with the inline 6-cylinder turbo diesel Mercedes OM606. This thing's gonna be powered by an OM606. It's gonna have a lot more power than it has now. Still gonna be Mercedes compatible. It's gonna be a way smaller project than something like a 6BT Cummins. And correctly, I think a lot of people commented that it's simply not a Unimog if you put a 6BT Cummins in it, which I totally agree. Don't worry, I'm with you on that. I still want it to be a Mercedes Unimog. I love that the transmission is literally part of the suspension. I think that is the coolest thing ever, and I don't want to ruin what it is to be a Unimog. So our OM606 is going in here. People have done it before. It's actually not a swap that's some crazy undoable project. 6BT Cummins is a way more daunting task than an OM606. OM606, tried and true, as is the 6BT Cummins, but the OM606 is not a ton of power. It's reasonable. It's a similar power to my Land Cruiser, to my 1HDFT Land Cruiser. I'm happy with the idea of an OM606, great on fuel, very, very durable. The only downside with an OM606 that I have found so far is they're very, very hard to find. and people want your first and second born child for an OM606. They're very, very expensive, usually being more expensive than the cars that they came in the first place. It weighs less than half of the 6BT Cummins. The 6BT Cummins fully dressed, some of them can weigh, I mean, you're looking at about 1,100 to plus. You could be more than 1,100, 1,200 pounds. The OM606 can weigh in the 400s. So we're looking at basically no weight change for the front of the Unimog. Suspension's happy, enough power, transmission's happy, everything's happy. This is a way smaller project, completely compatible across the board. This is much more ideal for the Unimog, and I'm happy with it in every single way. The 4BT never really actually put a lot of thought into it. I know that it would have been better than a 6BT, but it's still a monumental project, and it's, to me, it's lesser than the 6BT. It would have been somewhat easier for sure, but if I was going to take on some crazy Titanic project, I wanted to get the best of the best, and the 4BT never really came into consideration for what I was going to do. My OM617, that thing is dog slow as it is in a sedan, and I really need to get a little bit more power than I have in this M180, and I'm not convinced that the OM617 is going to get me that power that I need. So the OM617 was definitely a consideration. There were days when I said to myself, I'm doing the OM617, and I'm glad that I'm not doing that. I'm just gonna put up the money and do an OM606. I'll be happy with the power, the compatibility, the reliability, and everything else. So stick around for the OM606 conversion, and as soon as I get an OM606 in my hands, you'll be the first to know. But Mr. Forge, what do we do with the big rusty box on the back? Well, I'm a little bit less certain about what to do with our big rusty box than I am with the engine in the front. The OM606, I'm thrilled with the things that I learned from my research. I'm totally happy with that decision, and we're going with the 606. But this box, I'm less convinced on which direction to go. I know how I'm going to press forward from where we are right now. I'm gonna hang on to it. It's gonna stay on the Unimog until it gives me a reason to remove it. I'm gonna strip this thing out. I'm gonna carefully take all of the military history out of the back. It's gonna be completely stripped. And then I'm gonna evaluate how much I'm able to salvage from this metal box. Is it so rusty, so dead that I can't save it? Then we'll remove it. But if it's able to be saved, if it can be used effectively as an overlanding room, as a sort of hotel on wheels, we're gonna keep it. This means way lower cost for me, way less work. It's a very, very sturdy structure, minus the rust, of course. This is a steel box. Of course it's heavy, but the Unimog's lived its whole life with it. It obviously doesn't have a problem with it. Obviously around 8,000 pounds like we learned today. But if we can save this thing, make it sturdy and healthy, I'm gonna keep the box on the back. Now, there may be some of you thinking that that's not a lot of living space. You gotta walk bent down like this in there. Yes, but my family and I are pretty good at being resilient when it comes to comfort and camping. This would be a huge luxury. Even having a low ceiling, you have a whole room to yourself for camping. This would be epic, and I don't want to make some big, top-heavy, super tall monster of a thing. If it can stay this size, that is perfect. That's my favorite thing about the 404 Unimog in particular, is the compact size as far as Unimogs go, compact. So I would love for the Unimog to stay this size, and keeping the box on the back is the best way to do that. So for now, I'm hanging on to the box. We're gonna see what we can do about converting this into a hotel on wheels, basically. So we're gonna hang on to it. We're gonna put the OM606 in it. And if the box causes more problems than it's worth, then we will get rid of it. What do you guys think about the 404 Unimog? You like it more or less now that you learned a little bit more about it? Do you think it weighs too much? 8,000 pounds, that's a heavy vehicle. But in my mind, a Unimog with a big steel box on the back, 8,000 pounds is not a big deal. But what do you think? Is it too heavy? Is it gonna be bad off-road? Do you like that we're going with the OM606? Do you think we should have stayed with gasoline, a petrol engine? Do you think we should have gone bigger, crazier, done a 4-link, 6BT Cummins? What do you think? And you know something else, genuinely, I wanna know, what vehicle are you guys most interested in? Because I'm trying to figure out what vehicle I should let shine the most on my channel. I have my 300 TDI diesel manual Land Rover Defender. I have my diesel manual 80 series Toyota Land Cruiser, and I have my big Unimog that's gonna be turbo diesel manual soon. What do you guys want to see the most? Should the Mog be the main character on the channel? Should you be seeing more of that? Let me know. Do you like the Mog? Do you like the Cruiser? Do you like the Defender? You're gonna see the Power Stroke? You're gonna see the Mercedes sedan? Let me know. I also have some ideas for vehicles that may be coming in the future, but I'll let you know when that day comes. Thanks for visiting the Forge. You can catch me on TikTok and Instagram, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. See you on the next one. Bye.